to the crew. Podcast and media network, where voices rise, stories shine, and purpose meets the world.
Welcome to the crew. Come on in. This is where it starts. We are the change. We are the change. Right here in our heart. Welcome home, welcome through. There's a place for you. The crew around the world, lifting every voice too. We make space for the voiceless, hope for the undeserved. Real talk, real stories. Every voice deserves to be heard. Streaming live, we on the move. Facebook, Twitch, Kick, YouTube. From the mic to the nations, we build transformation. Change begins with us. Faith, purpose, power, trust. Seen around the world tonight. That crew shining bright. Come on in and this is where it starts. We are the change. We are the change. Right here in our hearts. Welcome home, welcome through. There's a place for you. The crew around the world, lifting every voice too. Tune in nightly, Sunday through Thursday, 8 p.m. Eastern time. Miss the live, catch the replay, 15, 20 more behind. We are the change. We are the change. Welcome to the cool. Come on in. This is where it starts. We are the change. We are the change. Right here in our heart. Welcome home, welcome through.
Welcome, family, to the Crew Podcast, where voices are lifted, purpose is activated, truth is spoken, stories are honored, and legacy is not just discussed. Legacy is built. Tonight, we are stepping into a powerful conversation. Mind your legacy, mastering intentional narratives daily to build a life that outlives you. So get your pens, get your notepads, open your hearts. Because tonight, you are not just here to listen, you are here to receive. Come expecting to be educated, empowered, encouraged, and equipped to stay the course, walk in purpose on purpose, and create a legacy that will speak long after you are gone. Tonight, we are honored to welcome a powerful panel of purpose-driven voices. First, meet Triveda S. Harris, a South Carolina-based author, publishing visionary, and founder of Wings of Transformation Publishing, LLC. She is a woman of faith, resilience, and transformation, actively serving her community through women's empowerment events, faith-based anthologies, and platforms that remind others that their story still has wings. We also welcome Queen Mother Dr. Chenzira Davis Kahina, affectionately known as Dr. Chen, a respected educator, cultural griot, humanitarian, and global cultural ambassador from the U.S. Virgin Islands. She has spent decades bridging the spiritual, historical, and cultural connections between Caribbean and African heritage, reminding us that legacy is rooted in identity, memory, culture, and the sacred responsibility to carry truth forward. And we welcome John Harris, also known as Baruti Mwenda Mariaman, an author, conflict and decision strategist, speaker, mentor, and community leader. His work focuses on transformational leadership, interpersonal growth mentorship, and helping people make wise decisions under pressure while becoming leaders who build, heal, and guide. Tonight, each of these voices will help us unpack what it means to mind your legacy, to master your thoughts, live intentionally, rewrite the narratives that shaped you, and take daily action toward the life God has called you to build. Because legacy is not just what we leave behind. Legacy is what we choose every day. It is in our words. It is in our service. It is in our healing. It is in our discipline. It is in the lives we touch, the truth we tell, and the purpose we refuse to abandon. So family, lean in. Take notes. Share this broadcast. Tag somebody who needs this conversation. It is tonight on the Crude Audit. We are not just talking about legacy. We are learning how to live it. Please help us welcome our special guests of the hour. Treveditas Harris, Queen Mother Dr. Chenzira Davis Kahina, and John Harris.
Well, welcome, welcome, welcome. I want to welcome all of you guys tonight to our special episode here on the Crew Podcast. I know y'all are not used to seeing me because I'm usually behind the scene, but tonight I am bringing you a special panel. Y'all, we're talking about minding your legacy, the importance of creating and leaving a legacy. I have some powerful, when I say powerful panelists tonight, I have some powerful panelists tonight that are going to share. They're going to tap in and they're going to share what legacy means to them. And they're going to give you some tips on how you can create and leave a legacy. So I want to thank you guys for joining us on tonight. We have Trevita in the building. I'm going to bring her up and allow her to quickly introduce herself, and I'm going to bring them all up and allow them to introduce themselves because I know the introduction that I created was not enough to truly recognize these amazing individuals. Y'all, but tonight we're going to be talking about mastering intentional narratives and making daily choices that we create and leaving a long lasting legacy that will live past us. So, Travita, come on in. How you doing tonight?
I am doing well, and I'm glad you asked me to be a part of this. I had no idea that I would be amongst some great folks tonight. I didn't even know who I was a part of this, but just to be in the midst of greatness is an honor and a privilege. So I thank you for that. But just to give a little brief introduction of me is I'm a small woman in height and stature, but in spirit, I am a giant to those who know me. Simply because I don't let the short height stop me. If you get to know me, you're gonna see that my spirit is bigger than how I stand. And life has given me so many challenges, but I've overcome all of them because I lead with God, because he orders my steps, and as long as he continues to order my steps, I'm going to continue to walk in the purpose in which he gives me.
Amen.
So
Amen.
that's me.
Well, welcome, welcome, welcome. Next, we have Queen Mother Dr. Chinzira, better known as Dr. Chin.
Greetings,
Welcome.
everyone. As I say welcome, hotep, blessings, all those wonderful phrases. You'll hear me sometimes say bayete, just saying royal greetings. It just adds a little more spice, right? So I am first and foremost a daughter of the Almighty Creator by a variety of names that we share, right? So I may say Netarah, you may say Yahweh, some may say Jehovah, Allah, Oludumare. We have a number of names, and so spirit always sits like at the heart of how I engage. I've always been enjoying being a part of the Crew podcast, but gotta say it, even in my own introduction, Sister Queen Visionary Angela, you be coming up with it. Like you just be bringing us out, like really bringing us out and offering that foundational support that facilitates our ability to not only talk about legacy, but to authentically build, maintain, sustain, and when necessary, tweak a bit how we engage with legacy. So, just some of my background will come up as I'm talking because I'm a mother, a grandmother, an entrepreneur, a writer, educator, and there's a number of other things. But for now, a mother, a grandmother, and I'm grateful. My grandchildren are calling me right now, so this is great. This is beautiful. Good
Mine
thing.
are upstairs.
There you go. Very close. Very close. But it's a blessing to be in the company of such. For me, it's regality, royalty, and greatness at the same time. How about that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Give thanks. Give thanks.
Amen. Well, thank you for joining us. Our next panelist is Mr. John Harris, aka I can't pronounce it.
It actually
So
was.
I don't want to mess it up, so I'm gonna
That's
let you
okay.
do
That's
it.
okay. So, first of all, Angela, thank you so much for this opportunity to engage. It's truly an honor to be here, and to share in this conversation with you, the other panelists. Both of you sisters. I am, obviously. I mean, I know Angela, and I know the type of folks that she rocks with, and so I'm not surprised. But it is really good to be here and be a part of a conversation with you all. So my name is John Harris. Trevita, we got the same last name. That is my birth name, although many people also know me as Baruti Mwenda Mariaman, which is a Kemetic name that I was assigned by one of my mentors. I'm an author, leadership strategist, nonprofit executive, and a former martial arts academy owner. So, over the course of my career, I've been blessed to serve people in public service, corporate leadership, martial arts, nonprofit work, and now through writing and speaking. Although all of those people came from very different walks of life, I discovered they were wrestling with many of the same questions. Why do I keep making the same choices? Why do relationships break down? Why do organizations struggle? How do we become who we're capable of becoming? Those questions eventually led me to create Mastering Your Moments, which is a framework that helps people understand the unseen influences affecting their choices so they can live, lead, and leave a legacy with greater intention. Everything I do today, whether it's through my books, speaking, leadership development, community engagement, coaching, it doesn't matter, flows from that one mission, and that is helping people make sense of themselves so they can live with greater intention. So it's really an honor to be here tonight with you all.
Amen. Amen. So we're gonna go ahead and jump in the conversation. And tonight we're talking about minding your legacy. I want each one of you guys to share with the listening audience what does that word legacy mean to you. And I'm gonna start with Dr. Chin.
Ultimately, and I'm grateful to be able to. I like going first because that way, when other people start coming and we get deeper and deeper, I'm already finished, right? I appreciate that in many respects. I would say that legacy, it has a variety of layers. So for some persons, legacy is very physical. It's just what they engage in terms of sensory activities, what they taste, what they smell, what they feel, what they see, right? What they could able to touch. It's very physical. And for other persons, legacy becomes very spiritual. So it becomes something that's not necessarily tangible. It may appear and feel, or you may be able to use some of your sensory skill sets to be able to embrace legacy. But it's something that goes beyond that which is physical, right? And then there's another element, and as I said, there's layers. So we're going from that which is body or physical, we're going for that that's more spiritual or that expands the senses. And then there's that portion that is completely what people like to call metaphysical, but I prefer to call it more of a higher order of engagement, like a higher order of that which is sacred. Because that's where legacy becomes what you plan to do, again, physical, what you are thinking and feeling you should do, again, more spiritual, and then what you actually do and continue to do. So it's not something you're doing for the the current time. It's something that you're doing that's going to build for the future. So when I speak of legacy, I always connect that to Afrofuturism, not Afrofuturism, and not Afrofuturism. Let me correct myself. But I'm speaking of the soul part, the spirit part, the consciousness part, as well as the physical, of how you move in the future. How do you go from what my parents taught me, what my grandparents taught me, into what I know and have integrated from my legacy of family? And then how do I move that forward? How do I maintain that and strengthen that so that my children and my children's children and their children and their children's children are able to continue this for more than a 5 year plan, but actually for generation upon generations. And we do that through a lens, at least in the work that I do, we call it Chats for Life. And it's culture, healing, arts, technology, and spirituality that facilitate through life, inspiration, freedom, and edification, so that you're able to do these things on a day to day basis, yes. But then you're always looking at not just for the moment, but how do you move this for the next year, the next decade, the next score, the next century? How do you keep a foundation that will maintain, sustain, and replicate, always with the best outcomes? We're always going to say that, with the best outcomes and with sacred intention. So for me, legacy encompasses that.
All right, all right, all right. I told y'all better get your pen and your notepad so you can jot down these nuggets. Y'all gonna need to have your notepad and your pen so you can get these nuggets, because I tell you, they're gonna be dropping them tonight. Mr. John, since you're in the middle of these beautiful queens, I want you to go next.
Absolutely, it'll be my pleasure. And you're right, because I'm taking notes as I listen. If I hear something that truly resonates with me, as I just did, I'm making notes for myself as well. So, what does legacy mean to me? When I saw the theme for today's conversation, Angela, mind your legacy. One of the things that immediately resonated with me was the phrase one thought, one choice, one story, one day at a time, which is actually very close to how I've come to understand legacy through my own work. So let me say that what I don't necessarily entirely believe legacy is, first, is that it's something we leave behind at the end of our lives. Interestingly enough, as I sat here and I was listening to my sister speak, it got me thinking even more about legacy. And I realized in something that she said that we are actually living legacy, which makes legacy present day and in real time. So it's not just about what happens when we're gone, we're living it. I believe legacy is something we build every day. It begins with a thought. That thought influences a choice. That choice becomes a part of our story. And then guess what? Over time, those stories become our legacy. That's why my work focuses so much on moments, because every day presents us with moments that invite us to make a choice. Those choices shape our relationships, our leadership, our families, and ultimately the impact that we make, and then, yes, consequently leave on others and even mark others with while we're here. So when people ask me what legacy means, my answer is pretty simple. Legacy is the cumulative result of intentional choices made moment by moment and day by day.
Awesome. And see, you was tapping into my next question that I was gonna ask. It really applies to what I was gonna ask. But I'm gonna go ahead and let Trevita answer this question, and then we're gonna jump into the next question.
Well, what I was going to say is basically sums up what both of them have already said is that for me, I never really thought about legacy as far as what we pass down to the next generation because you tend to think of traditions. We have these traditions that we pass on to the next generation, and most of the time it's just a recipe, it's just the way that we did things and so on and so forth. And when I had my stroke in 2009, and it was one of those things, I'm a 30-year-old woman, three small children. What do I have to be able to leave my children with? Something, is there something that they'll be able to remember me for teaching them? And so I began to think of different things that I had poured into them, and as they began to get older, they started to give words of wisdom that I had given to them, and they were putting it back on me. And I was like, okay, I said this stuff when you were 7 years old, and you're giving it back to me in ways that I did not even think you were, number one, listening, two, you're giving it back to me in a way that I can use it now, in a way that helps me, in a way. So it's building in ways that comes full circle. So it's like legacy is truly living day to day and taking what was once an old tradition comes into the new age and then being modernized for the future. So that's what legacy means to me.
So for me, as I began to think about legacy, I thought about the things that I'm doing now that will outlive me, that people will be able to remember, like Charita, things that people can take and apply to their lives that, I've had some part in, those things that people will remember when I'm not here in the flesh. So the next question, well, it is why is it important to understand that legacy is not just what we leave behind, but what we build daily? As Mr. John was saying, every day, my thing is when I lay down, I want to be empty. I want to have utilized these gifts and talents that has been placed within me, to touch somebody, to impact somebody, to make a difference in someone. I feel like if we are impacting someone's life, then we are creating a living legacy. They can see that legacy as we are living. So, with that being said, what role does self awareness play in creating a life of lasting impact to you guys? And I'm going to start with Mr. John. What role does self awareness play in creating a life of lasting impact?
Wow. Boom is what I'm going to say first, because that is a powerful question. Self awareness, and this is why this is so crucial, right? We have a tendency to not appreciate our individuality, right? We all know that biologically, no two people are the same. I mean, it's just a fact. We may grow up in certain environments, and so there'll be commonalities between us because of that. Whether we were raised in this country, other countries, or whether we were raised under specific types of socioeconomic conditions, whatever our racial backgrounds may be. So within that, we do get some groupings that come from it, but we are individuals. The more self-aware I am, the more willing I am to quote unquote do the work to understanding who I am as an individual. Why do I make the choices that I make? Why have I made the choices that I've made? What's really important to me? What am I really passionate about? And not focus on having my answers align with what everybody else says, but really become self aware. Who is John Harris? The more self aware I am, it actually puts me in a better position to impact those that I come in contact with. Why? Because they are receiving the very best, the most unique version of John that they could possibly get. If I am not self aware, if I am pursuing an image or an idea of who I'm supposed to be based on real variables, then not only am I cheating myself out of the beauty that comes from being fully self aware, but the world. Travita, Queen Angela, Dr. Chenzi, if I mispronounce your name, my sister, I apologize. If I am not operating in that self awareness, then they and others don't get the benefit of it. My wife doesn't get the benefit of the best of me. My children don't get the best of the benefit of me. Self awareness becomes the foundation for me building a legacy that I'll see it while I'm alive, and then it'll be here when I'm gone.
Yeah.
Powerful. Powerful. Dr. Chin, what's your take? What's your take on that?
See, self awareness is a very, like, more of a nouveau riche kind of cliche framework, at least for me, because in our tradition, and I would like to be real clear on when I speak of our tradition, we know a phrase called "I am that I am," right? And we say that in different languages. And so once you're comfortable in the skin that you're in the spirit that you carry, and the responsibility that comes with that spirit that you carry in this body frame, and you have a relationship with energy that is greater than you, and let me rephrase that, energy that is illuminating through you, that you get to be blessed and anointed with, then self-awareness in that physical frame becomes, just kind of surface. It becomes an opportunity for us to speak of knowing yourself for the greatest and highest good. Loving, and we need to be real clear, that cultural, cultivated, nurturing kind of love. What is the other term that I hear in biblical? Agape love. That is deeper than just like lust love, yeah? And where you can actually honor your individual self, yes, but you're seeing your individual self with family, with community, with nation, with society, with civilization, with humanity. Like, that's the type of awareness that when I hear that question, when I'm hearing, and I'm also anchoring off or veggie backing off of what Brother Baruti Wenda Meriamen is saying. right? Because it's coming from a space of knowing, a space, not just a belief, but actually knowing and being comfortable and honoring and respecting that ancestral legacy, yes, through the lens of that which is greater than your physical self, so that you can draw on millennia upon millennia of strength. You can draw on illuminated energy that some persons refer to as the Christed one or Jesus, right? That we may call Heru, that some people will call Yeshua, right? Because that's how self awareness comes, so that you can see the oneness, you can stay in the balance, you can strengthen yourself even in times of challenge, because this earth plane, the adversary is quite thorough in terms of interfering with our balance, interfering with our ability to maintain truth, justice, order, reciprocity, balance, divine righteousness, and harmony. I got to say all of that to use an old term, ancestral term called ma'at. It's a principle, not just a feather wearing woman, but a principle that allows for us to authentically maintain, sustain, strengthen. And of course, sometimes you might come off your throne for a moment, but you just straighten up and come forward through that authentic, as you refer to it, self-awareness, that I'll refer to as a ability to take your ancestral sacred traditions and bring them into life like now, through knowing yourself and being the I am that I am.
All right. All right. I'm telling y'all, I hope you got your pens. Hope you're taking notes. Hope you're applying. Travita.
Well, it comes down to basically this: when you know who you are and know whose you are, meaning when you know that you are the child of God Himself, then everything falls in alignment, because you're not answering to anything or anyone other than the name that God has truly given you. And you walk in that purpose in everything that you stand for and everything that you do. So when you are no longer confined to what society thinks that you're supposed to conform to. You only answer to what you've been called to do. So you are self aware and you walk in the divine purpose of who you've been created to be. And nothing can deteriorate you from that. You're going to walk in purpose and you're always going to be who you've been destined to be, always.
Wow. Powerful nuggets tonight. And as we continue this conversation, I know a lot of us, we look at legacy, and we have thought that legacy is something that is passed down, things that we are supposed to keep going from generation to generation. So as we think about legacy, what is one belief about legacy that you had to unlearn or redefine on your journey? So for me, understanding that I had the power to create and leave a legacy, that I could kind of dictate, transform, manifest those things that I know that I have been called to do, and that we had the power to manifest those things in our life. And I stand on Proverbs 21, and is it 21 and no 20 and 18, whichever one. I know it's over there. I ain't no Bible scholar, but I know it's over there. And I know it says that we have the power of life and death in our tongue, and that we can speak it. And I know that's over there in Proverbs. So don't charge it to my heart, charge it to my mind. But I know it's over there. And not only that, if we go on over to Jeremiah, he said that he declared that he had a plan for us, and it was to prosper us, not to harm us, for us to have hope in the future. So I stand on those words, and I know that no matter what it looked like sometime in the natural, and no matter what comes at me, that I can walk into those things because that has been spoken. And I believe that. And I believe that it has to come to pass. So I have to utilize the gifts and talents that's been placed within me so that I can help those things manifest in my life. But again, you have to believe in yourself, and you have to have that willingness and that determination and drive to speak those things over your life and to believe those things, because when you can see those things and visualize those things, they will come to pass. They will come to pass. That's it's like in Habakkuk, you got to write the vision and make it plain. Sometimes you got to do your vision board, put it up on the wall and look at it so it can manifest in your life. So with that being said, we're gonna start with you, Travita. What is one belief that you had to unlearn or redefine about legacy?
The one thing that I had to redefine was that most of the time, anytime I spoke to anybody about legacy, it always was formed around money. And I had to understand that it was not always about money. If you could not leave a legacy if you didn't have this money. And I was like, that that's very shallow, because you can't take the money with you anyway. So if that's all you can leave behind, you never had anything to leave your family with anyway. Because if they blow it after you gone in 20 days, you never left them with nothing of value, nothing that they could really use for an extended period of time. You left them currency that is nothing that they can do for longevity. And I had to redefine that because it was like this, it means nothing. Yes, we need money to survive day to day. However, but it's not the only thing that we need to live. And once I realized that, I was like, stop talking to me because it's not, you're not talking about nothing. You ain't saying nothing. You talking about this money value over here. I can go make $10,000 today. And if I go over here, I can blow $10,000 today. And the same day I made it, the same day it's gone. But if I ain't got nothing that I said to somebody that changes their life to where they can continuously build on something, then that's what I want to be able to do. But if I'm just teaching them nothing and they not taking nothing from what I'm giving them, then I ain't doing nothing but wasting their time and mine as well. So I want to be able to leave something of value that they can extend in other areas in other ways and skills and things of that nature, not just something that they can say, hey, my mama gave me this right here and I hope you can use it. But if I can't teach you nothing or give you something that you can take and give this word of advice to somebody else, say, hey, my mama taught me this one little thing. And you teach it to somebody else and it keeps growing and growing and growing, then that is what that legacy that I have been able to instill in a plant just in the dirt that's grown up and given to somebody else and it continues to blossom and grow in more than one way. So I had to redefine that money is not the only thing that I can leave behind.
Right. Because society has a society has have a lot of us thinking that it's the material things that is
Mm-hmm.
legacy, that we're leaving behind, but it's not. It's more
Right.
than the material things. It's more than the houses, the cars, the money, like you said. But it's
Mm-hmm.
things that um, will be able to carry on, that they will be able to share. If you teach them how to do something that will help create the money, and that's a
Yes.
skill that they have now that they can be able to, show somebody else, and they'll be able to pass that on down. And then the money won't never be an option. It'll always be something secondary
Right.
to what you have, in put in them. So, Dr. Chin, what is one belief that maybe you had to redefine or unlearn concerning legacy in your on your journey?
There were several. So I'm going to hone in on the one that I have actually establish some degree of growth in. And it was knowing that I needed to be patient and understanding of the legacy that I thought I needed to leave versus the legacy that the Almighty had destined for me to leave. Yeah. Because there were things, the human mind is powerful, and
Mm-hmm.
it's so powerful that it can literally use its power to our detriment. And there are things that I thought were really important in maintaining and leaving a legacy that, just as my sister Queen Trinity shared, it was about the capitalist green dollar, right? That it
Mm-hmm.
had to have this amount to do this and to leave this trust and to leave this for my children, my family, and future generations. And I had to undo that dependency on that the extractive part of capitalism. I want to make sure I highlight that, where I felt that I had to extract and extract and extract and extract and extract and keep more, and it almost made you move into a space of avarice, of greed, right?
Mm-hmm.
I had to shift from that and move in a stronger direction where it was more on the service that I was maintaining, the humanitarian efforts that I was engaged in, the number of women that I was able to help have natural birth, the number of families that I was able to keep away from ways of life that were very destructive. And even though it may not have given the type of financial rewards that I felt were essential, in my previous thought process, I had to completely shift not just my mindset, but my whole ethos, my whole view of how I looked at systems and system change and consciousness and definitely spirituality, shifting from ma- man-made religiosity. I want to highlight that. That was the one that I had to undo so that way I can sit personally, and persons know that I can go into any space where people are practicing various religions, and as long as the core is on the spiritual attunement with legacy that honors the Almighty, I'm 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 perfect. I'm good. I keep my eye. However, it took me a while to be able to be comfortable enough to present that and live in that and be comfortable in that, because how I saw legacy more connected to, an inheritance, a trust, and other types of very extractive elements. And I use that term extractive in front of capitalism because I recognize, I'm not saying don't have money, I'm not saying don't have wealth, and I'm not saying don't maintain prosperity, but I'm saying that when we get into that extractive view, that the legacy is measurable by whether it's a dollar sign, an EU sign, a yen, or whatever, or gold, or whatever, that I had to undo that, and it took a moment, and I have to thank my elders as well as my children and those that came in my pathway to help me to embrace that and to love that and to know that and live that, more so live that. So you asked some really interesting questions. I have to make sure I ask for those questions in advance. You like going like, whoop, this is like a Toastmasters table topics. Okay.
And
Yeah.
and the funny part about it is we not even diving into all of what I had planned for us tonight. So guess what? We're gonna have to do
It's
this
gonna be a
again.
part two.
Yes, we're gonna have to do this again. We're gonna have to do it again because we just touching the waters. We hadn't even dived into the mind part. We just
Okay.
touching the waters. So just know that we're gonna have another one. It's gonna be another one. So be prepared to come back next month, the second Thursday of the month. So
Okay.
go ahead and mark it on your calendars. Go ahead and
Mark
mark it on your
Will
calendars.
do.
honored to
Will do.
honored, honored.
But Mr. Baruni, if you would, we were sharing a belief of our
Yes.
legacy that we had
Yes.
to unlearn or redefine.
Yes.
If you
Yes.
would chime in on that and share with us.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, gosh, there's so many, but I'm going to tell you what stands out to me. My signature quote is change is inevitable, but transformation occurs when we address the conflicts affecting our choices. Initially, that quote was change happens when we address the conflict affecting our choices. And something about it didn't, quote unquote, sit fully right with me. And it was really when I was writing, during the time that I was writing my first book. And one day, and anything I write, I have put myself into the lab on it, right? Because that's all part of my just the personal self awareness. I'm not going to ask anybody to consider a concept or a truth or a premise if I have not done the work on myself. So one day I was sitting, and so I'm going through this process. One day I was sitting, and one of my favorite artists came on. It's Olita Adams. My wife and I actually was the first concert that we went to. We went to see Olita Adams. This was many years ago, but that's kind of beside the point right now. But she was singing a song, Everything Must Change. And for the first time in all the years that I had heard that song by so many different artists, it resonated with me that what I was suggesting about change was really surface level, run of the mill, the norm. Everything changes. Everything does. It just happens. And so, for my own life, if I was going to see my own life reflect the continuity that or the consistency that I expected to see, then it was not just a matter of changing that needed to happen. I had to transform, right? Now, we talk about scripture. One of my absolute favorite Bible verses, Romans chapter 12, verse 2, it says, and be ye not conformed to this world, but be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind, that you may prove what is the good and acceptable and perfect will of God. What I realized personally was that if I was expecting something different from my life, if my life was going to amount to legacy, you know, today, tomorrow, and into the future, then I was going to have to transform the way I process. And that required me being willing to take that deeper look at those forces, those unspoken forces in many cases that affect the choices that I make. Because without doing that, it really doesn't matter what my intentions are, right? I can have the absolute best of intentions. I can have a desire to create and build a lasting legacy that will last for generations beyond me. But if I've not done what's required within my own life to be in a space where I would have that type of impact, then it just wouldn't happen. So for me, it was understanding that transformation is the larger desire. Change is inevitable, but transformation, when I change the way I think, then my choices change. Everything lines up to what it is that I say that I want for myself. That was and that happened as I was really writing that first book. The book started teaching me as I was writing it, and I had to redo some things, et cetera, et cetera. But transformation is what it's really all about.
Wow. Y'all have dropped some powerful nuggets tonight. And like I said, we definitely will have to come back second Thursday in August. So y'all go ahead and mark your calendars. Put it down. We will be back here. Um, but as we prepare to close out for tonight, I want each of my special guests to recap. Um, we're going to share our final thoughts. And of course, I want you guys to share how individuals can follow you, support the things that you're doing on your platforms, how they can connect with you, because I'm telling you, they can't miss out on some amazing nuggets. They definitely need to connect. So we're gonna start with Travita. If you would share your final thoughts for tonight and how we can connect with you.
Okay. My final thoughts on tonight is that everybody had some very, very powerful things to say. And if you did not take your notes, I don't know why, because you needed it. And I got my notes over here, like it's basically voice recorded, so I can go back and write my stuff down. So that's just how I do my notes. But anyway, you can find me on Facebook, Travita Harris. Right now, I am looking for contributing authors. I am doing an anthology right now. So, and the title of this anthology is titled The Faith After the Fall. And it is everybody's just giving their testimony about how the fall did not end what they had going on in life. God is the one who's finished just the work. And so if you want to be a part of that, just reach out to me. You can find me at Facebook, Travita Harris, or through Wings of Transformation Publishing on Facebook as well. I would love to have you a part of this anthology with me. This is my first time ever doing something. I'm being obedient to what God has told me to do. And He said this is what I needed to do. So, y'all, I'm always going to be obedient to what He tells me to do. My tagline for my podcast, Believe in the Journey, is stay out of God's business. The only thing He needs you to do is be obedient to what He's called you to do. So, if I can't be obedient to what He's calling me to do, I'm not trying to get no whooping. So, and God's whooping is a total different thing, and I ain't trying to do that. So if you know what that looks like, you know you don't want to be on the receiving end of when you get in this trouble by God. So, but that's all I got to say.
All right now. She is one of the amazing hosts here on the Crew Podcast. Dr. Chen, if you would share your final thoughts and how we can connect with you.
Well, first and foremost, I'd like to definitely give thanks and praise for having an opportunity to share. I consider this like breaking bread. We just didn't drink any beverage together, or at least on the side. And I think it's important that persons recognize, as I said before, and I'll keep reiterating it, when I say chats for life, I'm speaking truth as power, not to power, but truth is power, right? And this is an opportunity when we speak of legacy to live the legacy and bring some actionable deliverables to the legacy and to infuse yourself with the culture, the healing, the arts, the technology, and the spirituality that support life to the best of your ability. And when you find yourself needing some guidance or falling off your throne, and when I say off your throne, I'm saying off that seat that keeps you balanced, that seat that keeps you harmonious, that seat that keeps you powerful, that seat that keeps you with humility, because you cannot have power without humility. Yeah. I encourage you, reach out. It's not only the therapist, it's going to be those that restore life that surround you. It's going to be through that spiritual relationship, that meditative prayer, that chant, that hesi, those words of power, words of praise that will keep you grounded to the best of your ability, of course, because you do need support, right? So, the way that you can link with me, and it's powerful to be talking of mind your legacy, because you could have just said mind your business, but you said mind your legacy, so that you do not just think of it in past tense and not only in future tense, but that you vibrate on present, as each of the panelists and our illustrious host has shared with us tonight. I have the opportunity to have a podcast on the Crew Podcast, which is called Ost Speaks, Building a New Legacy, which we get an opportunity to share on a variety of human civilization, development, and some funny stuff here and there. We try to add some humor so that we can handle the challenges that we are maintaining and sustaining and enduring in this life. And it's usually the first and third Thursday, 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. You can reach me at astspeaks, ASTSPEAKS, at gmail.com. You can look for Ask Speaks on YouTube as well as Facebook. You can look for Chenzera Kahina. Just look for the Chenzera part first, and then you'll find me. You'll see my face and usually the white head tie. I try to keep it so you can find me. And if all else fails, just go to the Crew Podcast, and Queen Visionary Angela will find me for you, right? So I'm really grateful to be able to have this type of a discussion. I like to look at it as a life conversation, so I've shifted that to conversation so that we can actually talk about life and build one another, because building legacy is the same as minding your legacy. So I'm grateful. Thank you again for a wonderful opportunity to share. I look forward to you said the next time in the month of August. Yeah, it's going to be powerful. And it's an honor to be in the presence of each and every one of you.
Amen. Mr. Baruni?
Yes. So I got to start by, first of all, really saying thank you to Queen Angela. She and I were talking before the show and recapping. She brought back to my recollection when we last connected. And it's really just amazing to me the way things work out. It truly has been an honor to be here, and I'm looking forward to next month if that opportunity presents itself, because I think the conversation needs to continue. I would simply want to encourage everyone listening to remember that legacy isn't something we leave behind one day. It's something we're building today. Every conversation, every decision, every relationship, every moment. We don't have to wait for a perfect life to begin living intentionally. We can begin with really the very next choice that we make. If anything I've shared tonight has resonated, I'd love to continue the conversation because, again, this conversation needs to continue. You can connect with me through Mastering Your Moments at www.momentstomaster.com. That's momentstomaster.com. That's T-O, master.com. I'm on Facebook. If you put in John Harris, you should see my face pop up. There you'll find information about my books, speaking, leadership development, youth programs, as well as other upcoming resources. So whether you're a parent, educator, organizational leader, a veteran, entrepreneur, or simply someone trying to live with greater purpose, I hope we can continue learning together. And I gotta say this again, Queen Angela, this is a powerful conversation on legacy, and we're talking about living legacy, living in legacy, and that's what you're doing. You are living in legacy and creating opportunities for individuals to do the same. So again, I appreciate it, and I'm looking forward to us continuing to build together. Thank you very, very much.
Well, I want to thank everyone for being a part of this on tonight and everyone that is tuned in. I thank my special guests, and we will be back the second Thursday of August. We'll be back to continue this conversation because there is more to come. So I encourage you guys to go ahead and pencil that in on your calendar, set your alarms, because I can guarantee you, if you did not get anything from tonight, you would definitely get something from our next encounter. Again, I thank you guys for stopping by. I am the queen visionary of the Crew Podcast and many, many other things. But tonight I am in the entity of the Crew Podcast. You can follow me on most platforms as the Queen of Collaborations. Google me, check me out, see what I'm doing, see what type of legacy I am creating here, now, and if you want to dive into this workbook, because this is not just a panel discussion, I have created a workbook that coincide with Minding Your Legacy. It is available on Amazon, and I also won an award called from the Authors Connect Community International for this workbook. So y'all go out, grab you a copy, but make sure you tune in next month, second Thursday. We're going to be continuing this conversation again. I want to thank my amazing guests for stopping by and sharing with me tonight. Until next time, y'all be blessed, and thank you for being a part of Minding Your Legacy.